Okay. So we're looking at how exactly the idea of saying you're going to pay works rather than paying. So let's first of all put this in the context of the previous few weeks, then we'll move ahead. We know that if somebody has there we are. There. We know that if somebody has if you've got a shomer, a guard, and is looking after something for somebody, we know that there are things he can say to avoid having to pay when the thing disappears. So, for example, a shomer chinom, a voluntary guard, is only liable for gross negligence. So let's say he's looking after a cow, the cow disappears. He says, well, I wasn't grossly negligent, and I'll take my Bible oath on that. Then fine, he walks free. So that's the principle behind all of this, that a guard can say something to make himself exempt from payment. If he chooses to pay, rather than invoking that exemption clause, rather than saying something that will get him off free, if he chooses to pay, then he gets this wheel of fortune thing that the owner says, because you helped me so much, you could have got off with an oath, but instead you paid me, you saw me right. So therefore, I'm giving to you the rights of double payment should a thief be found and have to pay double payment. I'm going to give that to you because you're a nice guy. So the guard has to do something nice to get this double payment gifted to him by the owner. And the owner doesn't actually, of course, the owner doesn't actually have the double payment now. What he says is, if it turns out it was stolen, and if the thief gets caught, and if the thief gets found guilty in court, and if the thief pays a double payment, I'm giving that to you. Because you helped me, and you could have made an oath and been exempt, but instead, you chose to pay, you did the decent thing, I'm gifting you this. That's what we found out, first of all. Is that okay so far? Yeah, nothing new in that? Nothing up my sleeve? No, it's straight up. I'm not trying to trick you, honest.
Why? It's not the same thing, I know, but there seems to be a connection to what you just said, to what you discussed. That's somebody saying that they didn't read.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah, yeah. We'll see now about how exactly it works. Yeah. So, what if, and this is a question we started, I think, on last week. What if the guard doesn't actually pay, but he says he will? Obviously, if he actually does pay later, then great. What if he says he'll pay and is not yet paid, and then the thief gets caught? Does his undertaking to pay mean that the owner gifts him the double payment should a thief be found and should he be found guilty and should he pay and all that? He's just saying
No.
So we tried to prove this from our Mishnah and we couldn't.
But last week we went through it. I'm only going on the basis that that's what we discussed last week. I said,
Okay,
yes,
no, you're
last
quite
week.
right. You're quite right. And truth is, famously, I'm known for saying this, actually it depends. So this is where Rav Papa comes in, and we'll see how exactly this works. So Colin, you're both right and wrong.
I was wrong last week, so I had to be half right this week on the same question.
Okay, so let's look at Rav Papa, who is about halfway down on 34a. I'm Rav Papa, on the screenshot at the top. Rav Papa said, Shem Echinam, when you've got somebody guarding something for free, have you got the place by the way? Excuse me, it does on the Zoom. Just bear with me a second. I'm just going to do a little bit before we're having. You've got it? You got it. I've got a nice constitution on that way, so that's You're making that confident. Don't know about that. There we go. Okay. Rav Papa says, Shem Echinam, if you've got a voluntary guard, even She'ama Pashati, simply by virtue of the fact that he said, it was my fault, I'm going to pay up. Maknele kfela. The owner gives him the double payment from the thief, should the thief be found in the future and should he pay. Why is the owner giving him this chance at making money down the line? Because he recognizes the guard went the extra mile. How did the guard go the extra mile? So the Gemara explains. The e-boy, because if he wanted, he could have exempted himself by saying it was stolen. Because as we know that a shomer chinam, a voluntary guard, is not liable for theft. He's only liable for gross negligence. So when the owner comes along and says, what happened to my cow? The guard could have said it was stolen. And you can't touch it. You can make him make an oath to that effect. But basically, you can't touch it. So if the guard chose not to do that, he didn't take the easy route and say, it wasn't my fault. He admitted guilt. And he paid up like a man. So, like a Manchester. So because he chose to do that, the owner says, because you're such a nice guy, if the thief gets found, I'm going to give you double payment. You can have it. There you go. My reward to you, my gratitude takes that form. I'm giving you a chance.
Just did this owner know the guard was having dealings with
Possibly.
Around.
We don't know. But one supposes that he did, but could just some random guy. Yeah. Okay. Now the Gemara moves on, says this is not only true with a shomer chinam, a voluntary guard, it can also be true with a shomer sachar, a paid guard. And the Gemara says, how so? So let's have a look. Shomer sachar, you see it is towards the end of a line there, is just below where Tosis on the left-hand margin has a big word elon. And then you go down a touch and into the main body of the Gemara, you see it says shomer sachar at the end of the line with a little vav next to the word shomer. That's where we are. Shomer sachar, a paid god in a professional god, if a god says that it was stolen, then a professional god, a paid god said it was stolen, then he pays up because a professional god is liable for theft because he's a professional, so we expect more of him. But I'm sorry. So since he's liable for theft, when he admits theft, he admits the thing was stolen from him, then he pays up, and the owner says, right, I'll accept that payment from you. And if the thief gets found, instead of paying the double payment to me, you can have it because you're a diamond guy. So that means the paid god could have said something to exempt himself. Otherwise, why is the owner being grateful to him? And the Gemara says, indeed, because the shomer sachar, the paid god, could have walked away scot-free. He can't walk away scot-free by saying it was stolen because he's liable for that. But he could have said, it died, or it got set on by a pack of wolves, or he got struck by lightning, or he ran off a cliff. What could I do? He got carried off by bandits. Any sort of catastrophe could have befallen it. And he could have said that. And he could have made his oath, and we'd have had to believe him. So when the paid god says, it was stolen and I'll pay, it's the same as the voluntary god saying, it was my bad, I was negligent. The same effect. He pays up now, and the owner is grateful because he could have exempted himself. And therefore, the owner says, if a thief is found and pays the double value, then you're going to get it because I'm grateful to you.
Yes, I'll pay. I can't pay at the moment, but I'll pay you 3 weeks later.
So Rav Papa says just saying it is enough. Apparently so. Yeah. However, Colin, I said Colin's neither right nor wrong. So thus far, Colin's been wrong. But fear not, Colin. We're on your side. Okay. So,
right. But it's going to change.
Sorry?
It's going to change. I know.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. What about a shoyal? A shoyal is somebody who borrows an animal to work with it. So it's different to what I've had thus far, where you're just looking after the cow and meeting its health needs or whatever. Now We're talking about somebody who borrows the cow to use it. He's going to milk it, he's going to plow in it, whatever it may be. Or he's not going to slaughter and eat it because they won't be there anymore. But he could borrow it for, let's say, I don't know, 3 months. So, what if somebody borrowed a cow and then it disappeared? And he turns up in Beis Din and he says, I'm going to pay. The borrower says that. So the Papa says he does not get the extra payment gifted to him by the owner. Because a borrower is liable for so many things that basically he's stuck. Even if he gets struck by lightning, he's got to pay. A shoel is chayav ba'onsin. A borrower is liable even for force majeure, an act of God. You know, a volcano explodes under the cow's feet. It erupts and it shot sky high and fricasseed in a... Right.
And the other case is just guarding it and looking at
Yes, exactly. So thank you. Since he's borrowing it, he's onto a fine thing. The guy's been so nice, he let him borrow his cow. So you get the full rig of the law. It's on you if anything goes wrong with this cow. So according to the Papa, whereas in the other 2 cases, there was a line he could have used to exempt himself. He could have the voluntary guard could say it was stolen and make himself exempt. The paid guard could have said it just dropped dead and he'd be exempt. The borrower, if he says it just dropped dead, he's liable anyway. So when he says it just dropped dead or whatever, what good has he given to the borrower? What line would the lender? What could he have said that would have made himself exempt? There's nothing. So when he admits guilt, he's done nothing special because what line could he have said to exempt himself with? Oh my goodness, you could have said that thing to exempt yourself and you didn't. So you know what? You'll get the double payment if the thief's found. No, there's nothing. There's nothing he could say to exempt himself. That's what the Papa says now. So let's have a look at it again. Shoel, a borrower, She'omer who says, Hareini Mishalim, I'm going to pay. Loi makile kfela. The owner does not give him the double payment if the thief should be found. So the Gemara says, wait a minute. I've got an idea. There is one thing that a borrower is exempt for. And that is Mesa Machamas Malach. When it dies as a result of the work for which you borrowed it. That's so untoward. This is a ploughing cow. It's meant for ploughing. That's what it's done for the last 5 years. And I borrow it to plough with it. Nothing untoward about that is completely normal and reasonable within the bounds of proper behavior. And what happens? I start ploughing with it and it kills over dead. You can't blame me for that, says the borrower. And indeed, the Torah says, Mesa machmas malacha. If it dies in the course of its normal work, you're exempt. So the Gemara says, wait a minute. That means if I borrow something, and let's say it gets struck by lightning, I could have said it died in the course of its plowing. So if I say it got struck by lightning and I'll pay, I'm being a good guy. And you, Alan?
Yeah, hello.
Alan, welcome, nice to see you.
Sorry, I was in a meeting and I couldn't get out of it. I apologise.
No worries, you're here now. It's okay. So the borrower should also get this double payment should it be found, and the owner should also be grateful to him when he says it just dropped dead, because he could have said it dropped dead because of its ploughing, in which case even the borrower will be exempt.
Does it matter when it dropped dead and said it was because of the ploughing or it wasn't the
It
ploughing?
absolutely matters. Yes, thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's only Mesa Machmas Malacha when it dies because of its work. So the borrower could have said it just dropped dead in the barn. In that case, he's liable. And yes, the borrower says you should now give me the double payment because I could have said it died because of its ploughing. I didn't say that. So if I choose to do the honourable thing and take the rap and pay you the value of the cow, you should give me the double portion if the thief is found. Roshlomo.
So, I decide that David Shapiro's prices are too low.
That's the
So
thing.
I borrow your car to go into competition as a minicab driver.
Right?
Oh, I spy strangers. Hello. There's no one here.
Right.
Okay. Well, it's a figment of my imagination. You're scary. Okay, fine. So I'm driving a customer to Heathrow Airport.
Right?
And suddenly, the engine pops out the car.
Right?
And the car is, as they say, lit.
Right?
Right, fine. I was using the car in the normal course
Yeah.
of what it is there.
Yeah.
From driving this passenger to Heathrow
Yeah.
Airport.
Yeah.
Fine. So now where am I with that? Bring it sort of into the
So you're quite right. If you borrowed a car, I must say hello to Michael. Hello, Michael. Welcome, my friend. Thank you for joining us. So you're quite right. If you borrowed the car to do the normal thing, and then it broke in the course of that ride, and now it's no more, you're exempt from that. You don't have to pay for it.
I don't.
You don't.
Can I borrow your car?
The handbrake just came up in the hand, actually. So I'm on to the guys next.
No.
Believe me, just on the way here.
Oh, but if you let him use your car, it'll be a nice nursery.
Can I show you what it is? So if the borrower has recourse, he could say a line that would exempt him. He could say it died because of its work. If he now chooses to say, well, it just stopped working, or it just dropped dead, or it broke, or it exploded, or it got stolen, or whatever, then in that case also, the owner should give him the double payment if it turns out that it was stolen and a thief is found and he has to pay. Well, then it's too bad. But that's the whole point. The owner just gives him the chance. The owner says, because you're a good guy, I'm going to give you the chance.
But why wouldn't the borrower say that at the start about not my responsibility if something was to happen?
Because he's an honourable guy. He says, no, I'm not. I will not tell a lie. It was the cherry tree all over again. I chose. So the borrower says, I could say that it died, that the car broke on the way to Heathrow Airport, but I do not say that because it's not what happened. What happened was, it was sitting on the drive and it went bang. It just exploded. I don't know what happened. That's what happened, and now it's in pieces. And then the owner should say, you're a diamond guy. You could have got out of it. And therefore, since you didn't do that, if it turns out it was stolen and there's a double payment, I'm going to give you that double payment.
Is the borrower saying that right at the beginning of the transaction, not when somebody makes the mistake?
Oh, no, only when the thing has disappeared does he say that.
So you don't know. That's what I'm saying. How does he know what's going to happen?
He doesn't. He only says it after it's been stolen. Or after it's disappeared.
It can only be relevant when it's been
stolen. Yeah. So the car.
Actually saying it after the transaction.
He's saying after the car's been, let's say that the car disappears from the driveway one morning. It's just not there. It's gone. So he's already, he borrowed the car, and then a week later this happens. And he says to the owner, the car disappeared. And the owner says, well, as a borrower, you're liable for just unexpected anything. You've got to pay. So the borrower says, maybe you could give me the double payment from the thief. If it turns out it was stolen, then the thief pays double. Maybe you give me that, because I could have said it broke while I was driving. And I didn't say that. I could have got off scot-free, and I didn't. Therefore, the borrower says, you should give me a double payment if a thief is found.
You should say it broke while it's right.
Yeah.
Then the car's broken down, you know where it was.
And it disappeared. As I'm driving along, something started shuddering and smoking. I jumped out, and it exploded into a million fragments.
We know we have to not be knocking off cars every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody knocks off your car and my car.
Yeah.
And it just so happens you're blown by a car, and somebody knocks it off at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Why is that your fault? You can't be sleeping outside.
A borrower is liable for everything, full stop. That's just it.
Literally, that we still kind of, if the child was struck by that.
Yeah.
But how can that be your higher for that?
Borrower's liable for everything, unless it dies in the course of work, because he's getting a lot of benefit.
So if the cow dies in the course of its work,
Yeah.
you're saying that the borrower makes that statement that, you know, I was liable or whatever the case may be. Does he say it after the cow was brought dead?
Well, he can say what he likes, but let's follow through the possibilities. Let's say the cow kills over in the course of its work. He can say, that's what happened. I'm not paying. That's fine. If the cow just disappears and he says it disappeared, then my question is, does the borrower get the double payment if it turns out it was stolen and the thief is found? Is he doing a favor to the owner?
Paid up front.
Yeah, exactly. If he pays up front and he does a favor to the owner, will the owner give him a double payment?
You're a diamond guy.
Why? Because what could the borrower have said to become exempt? That's right. The borrower could have said, "Guy didn't
Is this not, Rabbi? We're not saying that actually this guy's being rewarded for his honesty rather than his honesty being just natural anyway. So because I was honest, Gov, you know, I didn't lie to you, so I've told you the truth. Therefore, you're going to give me double. Actually, we would assume from the starting position that you're honest. So there's a sort of, you know, we're gonna reward you for not lying.
I mean, we the basement don't know what to think. We just see two guys. We don't know what to think. So these are the standard assumptions.
Juxtaposition.
That whenever somebody loses something that they're taken charge of, be it as a guard or as a borrower, if they could have been exempt and they chose not to make themselves exempt, they chose to pay, then we assume that the owner gives them that double payment in the event that it's a thief and it gets found and the thief pays up.
Well, maybe they're doing that with that in mind.
Maybe?
You know.
Okay, all right, so he's doing a wheel of fortune. He should be gazumped.
If the
Fine.
borrower gives the money to the owner and pass it to say,
If they want, they can arrange it however they like. You know, if they're just saying do some sort of slapdash arrangement down the dog and duck, which is what this sort of thing is redundant of, it probably did. The red line. There we go. I had a shiver last night near the red line, so that's sticking in my head. Okay. So here's a question. Here's a question. If somebody borrows something and they say it dropped dead, do they get the gift of the possible double payment? Because they could have said it died in the course of its work. That's the Gemara's question now.
But I thought the owner was going to do it anyway because he's a nice guy not saying that.
So the Gemara makes your point. Exactly your point. This is where we're up to now. Yeah, you got it. So here's
what did you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear that, Rabbi.
Here. So Malcolm says, surely the fact that the borrower was honest and he says it dropped dead and didn't say it died in the course of its work, that means, again, he's a diamond guy, and therefore the owner will give to him the possibility of a double payment if it turns out it was stolen and the thief is found and pays a double. Now, I must say welcome to Michael. Your first time with the Canine Heart. You're welcome to join us. Thank you very much. Okay, so here's what Gemara says. Shoyel, a borrower, Sho'ema, who says, Harini Misharim, behold, I will pay. He does not get the double payment chance given to him by the owner. No. But my have a layla miftanafshe, with what should he have said to exempt himself? But it died in the course of its work. So the Gemara said, I don't understand. Exactly your point, Malcolm. He could have said it died in the course of its work, and therefore I'm exempt. So when he says, it just dropped dead, why doesn't the owner reward him with his double payment?
Because he's not choosing to get out of it using that.
Well, no, because he still get a double payment, but Rav Papa says he doesn't. But sure, that's when he should get it.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
there seems to be a lot of emphasis on this, on people telling the truth or not in this, as more than some of the other things that we're learning with this. And so I'm really curious about that, because there seems to be a lot of emphasis on if someone has done something by the letter of the law, but they've actually told the truth when they could have told a fib, they would have benefited from it. So I'm really curious and interested about that.
This is the very heart of Dini Mominus, of monetary law, where we've got to get inside the heads of the people who come to us with an arrangement that was set up in a slapdash and hasty and inconsidered way. And we've got to work out what to do. And part of that is what actually happened and what's the truth. So yeah, you're spot on. And this is really the beating heart of Bava Metsia, is the way it's at. And there we are. And we can't just take a strict line, because what's strict for one is lenient for the other. So it's really hard. It's very finely balanced. We've got to get it right.
And as well as in life, you know, the words that are said are one thing, but the truth is often under the surface and hidden.
Yeah.
And there could be other stories that are going on as side issues with this whole arrangement as well.
You're right.
That the person who's investigating will need to understand.
Yeah. And we have a principle, Ein L'dain L'Masha Ein Arayos. All the Dain has is what his eyes see. You're right. So we're just going to go with the facts as we have them, and that's it. And we can't bring in extraneous stuff because it's not relevant.
Yeah.
We've got to be pretty ruthless. Absolutely. So again, Rapapa says, normally, if the person looking after the animal as a guard or a borrower says something to incriminate himself and pays up, he gets the prospect of kefel, of double payment, if it should turn out that it was stolen and the thief is found and pays up. Why? Why does he get that special bonus free gift possibility from the owner? Because he was a nice guy. He could have exempted himself by saying that something happened for which he should be exempt. And because he didn't, the owner says, you know what, because he's such a nice guy, if it turns out it was stolen and if the thief pays, you'll get the double payment. However, with the borrower, Rapapa does not say that. Rapapa says, even if the borrower says that let's say it dropped dead or it disappeared or I was negligent or whatever, he doesn't get the gift of that possible double payment, even though he could have exempted himself by saying it died in the course of its work.
Say why?
Yes, he did. That's the next thing. Why does the Prophet say this? So the Prophet says, I'll tell you why. But again, with what should he have exempted himself? By saying it died in the course of its work. So the Gemara says, no, that's uncommon. It's like saying my homework got eaten by the cat. Come on. What do you think you're saying? It's technically, if the thing died in the course of its work, fine. The borrower is exempt. Let's say there were witnesses that the borrower was priming the cat and just dropped dead. So fine, you're right. You're exempt. But if it's one word against another, and the owner says, I don't know what happened to my cow, but I'm dubious, I'm suspicious, and the borrower says, it died in the course of its work, very strange. You know, or to take the Shlomo's example, now I was driving along to Heathrow, and then the car started smoking, shooting, and I jumped out and it exploded, and it disappeared, and I can't get anything back. It's all gone. The fireball was so intense that everything was vaporized. There's nothing left at all.
That's a case of the owner not trusting the borrower.
You bet he doesn't trust him. You bet he doesn't. And now, so when the borrower says it just dropped dead, and therefore I'll pay you the value, he's not such a tzaddik. This thing about I could have said, it died in the course of its work. No, you couldn't. Nobody's going to believe you. Then these things just don't happen. That you're using it in a normal way in the course of it, and suddenly it drops dead. Just so happened to drop dead on your watch. Give me a break. What do you think? You think I was born yesterday? Forget that. So the owner says, no, I don't acknowledge that you could have said it died in the course of its work. I don't think you're such a tzaddik. You're just telling me what happened. Because you have to. And this stuff about it dying in the course of its work, that's a lot of rubbish. Yeah. I know. Maybe for all I know, you had it for your dinner. You slaughtered it. No, but for all I know, the borrower could have just slaughtered it and had a barbie with his mates. Yeah, so I don't know. I, as the owner, I don't know what happened. He says it died, or it got carried off by bandits, or it got stolen. It was negligent. I wasn't there. All I know is it's not there. Is it?
The fact is the fact. The fact is,
Rabbi,
No, that's all I've got. So just a second. So if he says it died or whatever, I'm not gonna say he's such a diamond guy because he pays me. What's his get out clause? It died in the course of its work. That's such a long shot to say.
That he pays, there's, what it says.
Yeah.
Whether, whatever, in the story.
Yeah. Oh, but when he pays, is it because he has no choice? Or is it because he's getting extra amount of being honest?
He's bound to pay for it.
So that's that. I don't give him extra credit for that. He paid because he's meant to pay. He borrowed it. He took that risk. So Rapapa, but what Rapapa's saying is, we don't give credit to the borrower for not saying it died in the course of its work. We don't say, look, he's such a nice guy.
Just said it died as that's the way it died. It just passed.
Yeah. So then it,
fell asleep in the barn.
then the borrower's liable. Yeah. So pay. But what the borrower was only going to win the chance of the double payment from the thief if he could have said something that would have exempted himself and didn't.
But that base thing, you say diary, and I thought always been diary. How can they come to something without aid? And there's no aid, they have to judge.
So well, here there's if the borrower admits that it died, this is fell asleep in the barn and died, so we'll accept that from him. But the question here is he such a righteous guy because he didn't use his get out clause of it died in course of time? Because I want to.
He died it first, and
Yeah.
And I know I'm tired, and I'm.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because let's say it turns out that in fact it was stolen, and the thief turns up and is ready to pay double. Do we say that because he said it died in the barn? Do we say he's a tzaddik? He could have said it died in the course of its work, and because and then he'd have been exempt. And because he said it died in the barn or it disappeared or whatever, then we're going to say he gets the double payment.
I can only say in Shlomo, he was callous.
Not at all. That's all. Hey, so that is exactly Rapapa's point.
Because if he says he died in the course of his work, they're going to say they don't believe it.
Yeah.
If he died or got chopped off or whatever it is, that then it becomes you can't get anything.
That is exactly Rapapa. Yes. So the borrower cannot win. That is Rapapa's point. Rapapa says the borrower will never get this chance to do the double payment because the only line he could say to exempt himself, which is that it died in the course of his work, is a line that nobody believes anyway.
Unless he had witnesses.
Yeah, witnesses different matter, but he didn't. The problem is he doesn't have witnesses. So, well, are there witnesses?
There were no witnesses.
Well, tough. I don't believe you because they want to have a free use of. They want to have free use of the account. I'll take that chance. I'm a chancer. I'll take a chance.
No.
Don't care. I don't care.
Rabbi, can I ask something?
Okay. Yes.
What are the implications if you do tell a fib or an untruth to the body that is making all this happen? What is the actual implications?
Are you talking lying on oath?
Yeah.
It's really, really, really bad.
So if you lie under oath, so what will happen? What will potentially happen to you?
You're saying the world to come. The whole world is denigrated. You've desecrated God's name. It's really, really bad.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to do that if you know the implications, unless you're in a terrible situation where you have to.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
This is a deterrent. It's not 100% deterrent. Some people will lie on oath because they just want the money. So there we are. Okay, so in sum, Rapapa says we apply our formula, which is if the person in charge of the thing could have exempted himself by saying something else, when he chooses not to and pays up, he gets the chance of the double payment if the thief is found. Rav Papa says that does not apply in the case of a borrower because the only exemption line is it died in the course of its work. And Rav Papa says that's a lot of rubbish. No one will believe that. So he can't even say it. And if he can't say it, when he chooses not to say it, it's not a special thing because he can't say it anyway.
He's lost whatever it is.
He's lost in any case.
Whatever it is.
Thus,
Well, he's still an honest person.
so Lechayai, the Almighty will pay him back. However, there is another version of Rav Papa which says precisely the opposite. But for that, I have to wait till next week.
Oh,
So we've got Colin. This is
Thank you.
Colin. This is the Duff Duffs. All right.
It's like a soap opera. It ends on a knife edge every week.
Do, do, do.
Boom, 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 boom.
That's it. The doff doffs. Do, do, do.
So, Peter, see you next week. And Yisakaya for coming. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
But, Michael, I've got a recording. I'm going to post it on the WhatsApp group.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Pleasure. You can see the whole thing. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.